everybody, welcome back to part 2 on how to make female armor. And right now what I'm going to do is I've had the patterns I did for the breast and the lower section, and I traced them down on a piece of paper. As you can see, I already took the pattern I had, I traced it, flipped it, because what I'm going to do is these are going to be my armor plates I want to put on. I'm going to make these out of a thinner foam. Alright, there we go. Now, I have a secondary plate I want to do. And I kind of went in with a pencil. I kind of played with it so I got to what I liked. So I'm going to do that right here. Over here like so. I want to start a little bit of a curve. There we go. And now, I have a piece that's going to go like this underneath. Alright, now that I have this all drawn out, what I'm going to do next fold it in half. Now I'm mostly doing this for the center section here, because once I cut this out, I can just flip this for right and left. But since this is the center, I'm going to go ahead and trim this guy like so. What's so wonderful now, since I folded it, there it is. It's my center pattern, perfectly symmetrical. Since this will serve as my right and my left, I'm just going to cut this out, just one of these. There. Now, I have this pattern cut out. This is a recess. I want to cut this away. But what happens when you cut this all out in a paper and pattern, this gets kind of flimsy. So what I do is I don't cut the whole thing out. I only cut out enough to where I know I can get the register. Because some people want to go back through and just cut this whole thing out, but it makes the pattern kind of floppy. So what I usually do is I just make end marks, like here and here. So therefore I know I'll cut this section out right here. And my end marks. I know that what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the paper here, and I'm just going to make a couple marks here and here, and I'll just do the back here. So what I'll do is I'll cut this guy right here like so, like so. So once again, you see these will be my registration marks, and then I cut the back end out. There. So when I lay this down on a piece of foam to cut out, I'll trace this, make my marks, and then I know where my lines start. I can just freehand these drawings. Therefore your pattern is a little more stable. Okay. Now I'm going to make the detail for the breastplate. I've taken my original pattern, as you can see right here, and I traced it down on a piece of paper. And when I had the duct tape pattern, I kind of drew on what I wanted, and I transferred that onto paper. But what I'm going to do in this is basically a copy of my pattern, so whatever I know that I'm going to make out of this is going to fit on this perfectly. So, but I'm not cutting this whole thing out, I'm just cutting out my detail. On this pattern piece, there's a dart, and I already did the dart in the actual piece. Because the actual piece, when it's all together, it's glued and this dart is together. So for my wraparound piece, I'm going to go ahead and, because we know this is going to be closed together, so on my actual paper pattern detail thing, I'm going to make sure it lines up perfectly with this. Hold on, that's way off. Let's do this. Come down like this. I'm just going to line these guys just up like this. My detail. And this guy up. Put some tape. And the reason I go through all this trouble, because I at least know that this flow is one piece. When I go to cut this out, it'll fit on the armor. So now, I got this guy, same thing again. I need to cut all this out. I'll tell you what, honestly, this is pretty thick enough. I can cut this whole thing out. This won't be so, it's not too flimsy. So we're just going to go and do that really quickly here. There we go, see? Now, this is for, oops. This is going to be our detail piece for the armor. Not very close to look. Drop on and wrap around like so. Look at that. Now I have all my detail pieces. I got some really nice thin crap foam. I got the Michaels, the local art store in my neighborhood. And I've got the guys, before I cut these all out, and I always like to do is take these paper patterns, as I did, and as you can see, I like to put them on the breastplate, trace everything on before you glue on. Okay, now we got that. Let's go ahead and start cutting out some pieces here. And don't forget to pin them down. Here we go. Okay, I have my parts cut out, and what do? Before you start gluing all your detail pieces on, it's always good to have it in the shape that it's going to be. Because if you lay your pieces out flat and you try to glue them, it's going to make your pieces stay flat. It's always good, if you're going to add on detail pieces, to make sure it's in the position it needs to be. So I have this back in my form. For you guys, you'll be back in your dress form. And you can see, this won't actually lay flat, it kind of curls. So I just lay my detail piece down like so. There you go, that's my first piece. And then, for these pieces here that wrap around, they have a curl, so, again, line that guy up with my Sharpie marks. So just lay it down. Once again, see it curls, so therefore when it lays on there, it's going to stay exactly like you want. There we go, see? Get all lined up. Perfect. I'm just inside my Sharpie marks. Because in the days, I won't lie, when I was in my youth making stuff, I'd be like, oh, I'd eyeball it, then it would get stuck, and I'd have to get like barge thinner and take the parts off. And that's something that you can definitely know, that if you're doing this, and you get something on there crooked and it sticks, and then you think, oh no, because this, if you try to pull it off, you'll tear your foam, because with contact adhesive, the glue is stronger than the foam. So you're more likely to tear your foam if you try to pull something off. So if you lay something down incorrectly and you see it, you can just go back with I would just get like a chip brush and barge thinner, and you can just gently just touch it. Make sure you have gloves on when you do this, and take it all off, and you can just relay it back on. All right, now I have my secondary detail piece. Once again, I put barge on this already. I've done like 2 thin coats. Lines it right back up. There we go. I like working with this and I'm using, sometimes I like to use a thicker foam for detail, but for this particular armor, I want to keep everything kind of low profile. And I know I'm going to do a lot of steps in it, so the thin foam works really well. So I can put a lot more pieces on there and it won't get too thick. And I'll add the detail I want to add without becoming too thick. This is my third detail piece right there. See, I always like when you add the details, it gets exciting because you can really start to see it come together. Alright, for now this breastplate detail, to make sure I get the whole thing, I kind of put the dress form on its back, because it's a very delicate, careful Ted. I'm going to line up my marks, make sure I get exactly where I want to go, because I have to very carefully feed this on, but I'm going to make sure I get exactly where I want it to be here. Hold on for a sec. Alright. The foam, cool thing about foam is it will give and stretch, so you can kind of direct it a little bit. There we go. Follow my line. Come down through here. Now it's coming back. There, okay, there it is. Okay, that's my first one. Okay, all of us, even I make mistakes. I got this piece, the detail piece on my breastplate, and I realized there's a segment here I really liked that I wanted to cut out. And now it's all glued on. You probably think, oh no, it's too late. Since I just glued it, literally moments ago, I drew out where I'm going to cut out. So I took a sharp X-ACTO blade like I have here. I'm going to follow my Sharpie lines. Just like so, right here. Like that, okay. I'm going to come here, cut this piece here, like so, and come back up through here. And granted, it is glued on there. So what I'm going to do is I have some barge thinner, and just what it, it is just what it is. It's barge and it's thinner. So what I'm going to do is get a little, just push in here a little bit with a Q-tip with barge thinner. Just get started. So once you get in there, see, there it goes. I can get that to lift up, see? So then I just take my Q-tip, I saturate it with barge thinner, stick it in there very carefully. There you go. And now I have my recessed detail piece. When building stuff, I was kind of like trying to get this tutorial going. I looked at some different costumes and stuff online to borrow from and designs wise. So I'm like, yeah, this is good, and I built it. And as I'm building this, I started realizing I like the flow of this, but I don't like this part here. It kind of ends abruptly. So I'm going to change it, and I'm just going to cut this off and take some barge thinner and take it over and redo this. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm explaining to you because I wasn't happy with the design. And so when you're making things and you see something that doesn't work, it's your design. One of the things I know, when you're doing something like a cosplay costume and you want to match it verbatim, that's great because the design work's already done. But when you're making your own things and you're designing something, you have your drawing, and when you start building something from drawing to three-dimensional, certain things work and some things don't. And you start to see something like, hey, this doesn't work, change it. If you start to physically build something and see something better, you can fix it because it's your thing. So, but the reason I'm playing because I'm going to shoot this video and you're going to start to watch it, and halfway through the video it's going to change, and I thought I better explain what I'm doing before I do it. But anyway, I'm going to refix this. So let's do that. I'm going to remove these guys. Get my little barge thinner and a brush. Gently. Now I went back with a knife. Cut that out. See? Cut that guy off. This one's being a little stubborn here, hold on. Okay, now, because what I did is I had my pattern thought out. I cut it, traced it, and this is where I'm going to put in here right there. See? See how much nicer that looks? And I kind of follow this line too. It just like it swoops here and swoops back around. So now, let's go here really thin on both sides. Now, line this back up to replace the piece that I cut off. I try to get it nice and flush to hide the seam. So there we go, see? And there we go, see? There we go. Line that guy back up again right here on the seam. See now, I like because it flows much better. See, swoops in, comes around, comes back up. It's got a little bit more of a flow to it. All right, there it is. I have it all based out. I have all the detailed pieces. I have one on there. I made some slight alterations to get to where I was happy with the design. And now we're going to coat this. And on this particular piece of armor, I'm going to do blue latex. But that's a whole other tutorial on how to fabricate female armor. And for all you people, first time discovering me, I also do how to make a foam helmet right here. You click on this and you can hit that to learn how to make a foam helmet. Also, if you guys, you can follow me on Twitter at EvilTed40. You can find me on Facebook at eviltedsmith.com and contact me there. And please subscribe and how to make female armor.